Hi, and welcome to this week's live Q&A call. This is Brian, and I'm coming to you from Bucharest, Romania. And unfortunately, this call is going to be recorded, so I kind of lied there. It's not live. And that's mainly because I'd be up at 4 a.m. doing it otherwise, because we're coming from Bucharest. We're here doing one of our week-long advanced programs. We're doing a lot of work with confidence and men's confidence, grounding skills, and really building men up in a powerful way. We do a very powerful intensive out here. And I love Bucharest. It's an amazing city, very bohemian in culture, a little disheveled, but super bohemian. And what I find is sometimes people here can be gruff, they can be different, but there's such a good heart under the surface. People here really know how to connect. They really know how to open their hearts, and they really know how to be present when you're sitting down and talking with them. I have a lot of friends here. This is kind of like a second home now. And so I'm glad to be here presenting for this week's call. With that said, let's dive right in. And we've got a little topic today before we get into the Q&A. And I want to talk a little bit about what turns women on. And there's a lot of things we could talk about with this. I could talk about a lot of different topics in relation to what turns women on, because there are a lot of different things that go into what makes up a man turning a woman on. Now, we could just say the simple confidence. We could say confidence turns women on. And there's a lot of truth to that, because women have been drawn to confidence since time began. And it really boils down to a simple idea that in the early days, way back when, let's say 10,000 years ago, or even 1,000 years ago, let's say you're in a small village or a tribe, and there were multiple, and a woman had to pick a man, and a man had to pick a woman. Well, the woman is going to want to pick a man that best is going to help her and her baby survive. So the man that has actually the most confidence is really the guy that is going to be able to help her and her baby survive. Because let's take a look at it for a minute. If a guy is really bad at being confident, he doesn't have a lot of belief in himself, he doesn't have belief in his ability to go out and get food, to create shelter, and so forth, he's going to be terrible at helping that woman survive. So on a level of genes, on the genes level, her genes are going to want to really make sure she picks a guy that is confident, that can handle the shit when the shit hits the fan. And we always like to boil that down to tension. His ability with tension, his ability to handle tension, step into tension, create tension, and to be comfortable with tension. So that's what I consider to be one of the most important skills. I talk about it all the time. I've got tons of videos on being able to manage and step into tension and dance in tension. Now, this doesn't mean you have to do it all the time. That would be kind of ridiculous. You would burn out. But to be able to do it here and there when it's needed, to be able to do it a little bit when the time is right, is really powerful. And when you walk up to a woman, to be able to step into that tension of potentially being rejected, to be able to ground it, to handle it, to contain it, to lead it, so forth, is one of the most important skills that you can have while talking to a woman. So if we go back to that early tribe and we look at, let's say, 3 different guys, okay, and we imagine there's a woman and they're all competing for attention. Now, the first guy, he is scared of his own shadow. He's very nice, but he's afraid to go out there and handle things. He gets nervous, he gets super reactive. If he's got to go hunt, he gets worried and he gets scared. Imagine this guy as a potential suitor for a woman. This might be your nice guy or a guy who's just really bad with tension. Okay, now imagine a second guy. The second guy, he goes out there and he wants to approach and meet women, but he's basically, he's the opposite of the other guy. He's very forward. He's very good with tension. He steps right into it. Matter of fact, he runs into it at 100 miles an hour. And so when it's time to hunt, he goes out there and he's like, I'm going to get the animal. I'm going to get what we need. When it's time to battle, he dive right into battle. When it's time to deal with stuff, he charges into it. This guy's good with tension in the sense that he charges into it, but almost to a fault. He's most likely going to get himself killed by doing this. So this guy is also not very good with tension in the sense that he takes it too far and he's probably going to get himself killed. Now, if we look at a third guy, and this is the guy I always picture her genes being most attracted to. This guy has no problem with tension. He enjoys the tension. He can walk into it. He can handle it. But he also has enough wherewithal to hold back and relax and uses awareness to make good decisions. He doesn't just charge right in. He goes in and then he stays really aware, present. His mind doesn't race. He doesn't hyper focus. He just feels out everything. So when it comes to combat, hunting, building, he's more likely to have the awareness to keep himself alive the longest. So if you're a woman and you're looking at these three different types of guys, you're not logically seeing these things, but you're feeling them. Her genes start to pick up on, this is the guy that would make a good leader, he's the best with tension. He can manage the most tension. So he's the guy that's going to be most attractive to women in general. Now, I'm not saying that every woman would be most attracted to him. There's always going to be your range of types of women, but in general, that's where it kind of lands. So let's dive in a little bit deeper. Let's take a look at some of the traits that go into a very attractive man, a man that turns women on. And so we just talked about one. One is tension, your ability to handle, step into, play with, and lead tension. So, and so that leads me to the next thing, which is grounding that tension. If you're really good with tension, then you got to be good at grounding tension, which means your ability to step into that tension easily and effortlessly, your ability to not step into, but your ability to receive tension. So let's say a woman gives you a test. Can you relax into that and allow that tension to go through you and then still be present and handle it? And that's one of the most attractive qualities, as far as I'm concerned, is the guy that can handle tension that's brought to him. Maybe there's the waiter screwed something up, and the one guy is too nervous to say something and send the food back, but the guy who's really good with tension has no problem grounding out the waiter and saying, look, we got to deal with this. Let's, I need the steak is cooked wrong or whatever. And I know that's minor, but there are a lot of nice guys out there that won't handle stuff like that. Maybe somebody insulted your girlfriend. How do you handle that? Do you run away from it? Do you get all cocky and in your head and create a big fight out of it? Or do you handle it and ground her and deal with the situation like a man? And that's grounding. So grounding is really powerful. It's your ability to stay aware under difficult situations. It's your ability to let all the tension run through your body instead of letting it build up. And she can feel that difference. Can he handle the shit when the shit hits the fan? But not only that, can he ground it and relax into it? So that's another powerful quality in attractive men. This doesn't have to be 100%. This doesn't have to go a huge direction. And if you're not good at this yet, that's okay, because you can build the skill with a little bit of weightlifting every day. If you start to look in the world at all the tension that's out there and you start to learn to step into it a little bit at a time. So your ability to handle the shit, just take it a step or two further and women are going to notice. And stay clear-headed. Another one is your ability to step into your turn on. And this is huge. A lot of guys talk to women and they show interest in women, but then they don't allow the women to see them as turned on, as curious, having some interest in them sexually or attracted to them. So turn on is literally a feeling in the body, guys. Think about it that way. When you get turned on for a woman, it's not a concept, I'm going to show you my turn on. It's actually a feeling that you feel. When I get aroused, I feel a feeling. And to be able to feel that feeling in front of a woman while talking to her and then not hide it from her in the sense that pushing it back down, which a lot of nice guys do, but to be able to sit in that turn on and talk to her from it is huge. So I want to invite you into this idea that you can welcome your turn on and you can start to talk to her from that turn on. And it's a very powerful thing to do, and it's a very easy thing to do. So start to welcome your turn on, guys, and start to notice if you can feel it. It's typically down in the hip area, and it's kind of warms from there. You got the heart that opens, and that's the heart would be the loving, compassionate, giving energy, but the turn on is the creative energy. It's the spicy energy, and so you can start to develop that ability. Start to welcome turn on in the body. Turn on feels like for me, it feels like a little heat or a little warmth down there. So I want you to start playing with this idea that you can welcome that heat or you can welcome that warmth down in that part of your body. And you can sit and meditate on it. If you can get it even 1%, 2%, you can start to let it expand. And how you let something like this expand is, I literally used to do this. I would sit down and find that turn on. I might find a little spot down in my hip region, and I would just let it expand. I would be focusing on it. I'd be relaxing into it. I'd be welcoming it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, as much as my body was willing to welcome. Now, I didn't force it. I never forced it to expand. I would just watch it, sit on it, sit with it, and welcome it. And what happened was, after a while, that whole part of my body started to heat up. It started to heat up a lot. And I started to get much more easy access to that feeling. And All you have to do at that point is start to allow shame to leave your body. I'd welcome shame and let it go, and then welcome more turn on. Welcome the shame, let it go, welcome more turn on. And as shame left my body, I was able to access deeper states of turn on. This is in energetic principles. If you're looking at the chakra centers, that would be like the second chakra, or the dantian, or the hara down in the hip area. And that area, whole area, can wake up and start to come alive. And you'll feel a lot more passion. You'll feel a lot more turn on. You'll feel a lot more creativity, because what turn on really is your creative energy. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say, I think it was in the movie Pumping Iron, he would say, I'm turned on all the time. I'm turned on when I'm coming all the time. I'm coming all the time. I'm coming when I'm crossing the street. I'm coming when I'm curling. And he would say this in the video, and that represented how turned on for life he was. And I want to invite you into this idea that you to practice your turn on. Don't just get turned on for women. Get turned on for everything. Get turned on for life. Get turned on for your business. Get turned on for everything you can think of, because that turn on will then really powerfully help you to step through any fear, doubt, and worry, and go ahead and create what you want anyways. I think that's one of the big secrets of really successful people. And women notice men that are turned on. It comes back to passion. It comes back to purpose. They have a sense of passion. They have a sense of purpose. They have a sense of drive. And they have a sense of penetrating energy, which is another thing, is your ability to penetrate the world a little bit. And that's with your turn on. When you have that turn on, your ability to drive and penetrate is really powerful. I'll go out there and I have no problem going out and stepping into that tension, as we come back to the tension, and going for it. And she feels that difference. I think it was David Data that would say you have to fuck the world open. And that's what this turn on does. It helps you to fuck the world open. And it's very powerful in that way, in creating a powerful feeling in that sense. And then the next thing I want to talk a little bit about is leading. Your ability to take the lead, guys. Take the lead. Like simple things. I'm not talking about major things. I'm talking about take her hand and lead your way into the restaurant, and make sure the space is contained, and handle it. Take a lead with the first date, especially. Where are you going? What are you doing? Take the lead and lean in a little too close, and let her know you want to kiss her. Don't be afraid to take the lead. That's stepping into the tension now. Not just enjoying the tension, not just being good with handling tension, but being able to take the lead with tension and deal with the situation. What does this do for her? And this is very powerful. This allows her to be more feminine. The more you can handle tension, ground tension, and take the lead with tension, the more it allows her to really be more of a feminine woman. It allows her to surrender the lead, surrender her masculine, because she has masculine just like everybody else. We both have both energies, and allows her to start to surrender the masculine and become more feminine, more of a girl for you, more of an expression. Because what's what the feminine is? It's an expression of light, it's an expression of art, it's an expression of dance. And it allows her to be more feminine for you. And that's who she's going to be it for. If you're managing all that tension, and you're and you're being the leader, and you're containing the situation, then when she becomes more feminine, she's going to be doing it for you. And that's what's going to create a natural polarity or attraction between you two. And so welcome these energies in, and I'm going to recover it really quick. The number one thing is your ability to handle tension, to be proactive with tension, and to be able to step into tension, because all of these work off of tension. If you can't handle the tension, then you're going to be reactive to the tension. That means you're going to be running from the tension. Proactive means you're going to be stepping into it and working in time with it. Reactive is either running from it or rushing through it and trying to get it done as fast as possible. Proactive is more like a surfer on a wave. You're handling that tension in the moment with the time. The next one is to be able to be grounding, to be able to ground that tension, and to be able to manage the tension that's coming at you. If there's a problem, if she's testing you, so forth. The next one is turn on, is your ability to be turned on and feel your turn on, and to be able to use your turn on to inject passion and purpose into the moment, to be able to turn on for the moment, to be able to turn on for the date, to be able to be turned on for her. and give her that turn on as a gift, and offer her your attraction. And the next one is to be leading, and to be able to lead the situation from that ability to manage tension, to be able to lead and really contain it, and really manage it, so you can allow her to be more feminine as you step more into your masculine, creating a nice polarity or an arc between you two, which creates more attraction. So hopefully that helps you guys this week. It's a little something I've been thinking about, and I wanted to get it out there for you guys. And I think if you can just master these 4 skills, there's other ways I could describe it, but I think when you look at it this way, with these 4 little skill sets, and you just kind of play with each one a little bit till you kind of understand it a little better, and you go out and do something with it, then you're going to be able to grow immensely very quickly. And I think you're going to be able to see big changes, because that's what breaks down. If you look at all 4 of those, all 4 of those are inside of confidence. Like, what is confidence but your ability to step into, manage, and play with tension? It's your ability to be comfortable in the tension. And just like lifting weights, if you step into tension a little bit at a time, within no time, you're going to be that much more powerful. So, and so that brings me to the last piece. How do you practice this in the real world? And I kind of gave you a little bit about that, or a little bit of that already. But the way I would practice it, the way I originally practiced it, was I would go out every day to practice stepping into tension a little bit. I would get a journal, and I would carry that journal with me, and I would write down every day 4 or 5 areas I was avoiding tension. And then I would write down a little number corresponding that tension, 1 to 10, 10 being too much tension and 0 being no tension. Okay. And if it was a 10, that's too much tension. Walking over that blonde and telling her she's beautiful is too much tension. Asking for a pay raise maybe is too much tension right now. But what's something I could do that would help me to grow my tension skills? What's like a 5 or a 6 on that scale, or even a 4, 3, something that's got some tension you could practice managing. And maybe it's going over and asking that girl the time, and then walking away for it. And maybe you do that 4 or 5 times, and then pretty soon that starts to get easier. And you'll notice that what was a 10 is now an 8, and then eventually 7, and then eventually a 6. And you could do this in all areas of life, not just with women, but you can do it in many different areas where you see somebody that you want to ask a question in general, and you're just afraid to do it. Sending your food back at the restaurant because it didn't taste right. I talked about that earlier, about how so many nice guys are afraid to do that. Little things like this. And as you fill that journal up every day, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you read it before you go to bed. And actually, one piece I left out is, after you do the action, let's say you find something that's a nice 5 on the scale, you go over and ask for the time, you come back and you write down what you learned. And if you do this like 5 times each day, and then every night before you go to bed, you read all 5 of them, you're now starting to take into your subconscious mind all these new tension skills, and you're starting to take them into your life. And so I want to offer this to you. This is a powerful training tool. And I've had some people recently email me on how much it's changed their life. And I have people in the past email me and tell me how much it's changed their life. So I want to invite you into this idea that if you get started on this today, inside of 30 days, you could seriously increase your tension skills. If you want to take it one step further, take an hour and step into tension for a whole hour straight. Just walking down go to a mall, go someplace that's busy, and just say, where can I step into a little more tension? Maybe even 3s on the scales, 4s, 5s, 6s, and then write down what you learned, write down what you learned, write down what you learned. Just keep doing that over and over and over again. And within no time, you're going to feel this expansion inside of you. And that expansion is your self-love increasing as you're stepping into more tension. Because the more you step into this tension within a manageable range, your current manageable range, like lifting weights, and that's why we have the scale, the more you're going to start to really care about yourself. You're going to start to appreciate yourself more. And so I want to encourage you to get started on that today and take action and go for it. Okay, let's take a look. Let's step off. I want to thank you for that, by the way. Where am I going with this? I got lost for a second. I want to encourage you to take action in this area and to start practicing. And don't leave out the turn on piece. I've talked a lot about tension, and it's good to be good with tension. But if you can't be turned on for a woman, if you can't witness her and find her beautiful and stunning and sexy also, which takes a little bit of tension skill to show her that, then it's going to be hard to turn her on. And that starts with a feeling. If you can't feel that when you're standing in front of a beautiful woman, then you got a problem. So how does that work? When you've got the turn on, it works very simply. If I'm actually feeling a little bit of turn on for her, holding eye contact a little too long, shaking her hand and holding her hand a little too long, telling her, there's something interesting about you. saying something like that with that eye contact as you hold it a little bit too long. Saying, you know what, I think I like you. And you know what, you're trouble. And then holding that eye contact a little too long. These are all ways where you're stepping in attention with your turn on. And so I want to encourage you to start playing with these in conversation and start stepping into that turn on. But what you're going to notice is that when you have the turn on and you hold the eye contact and you sit there in the tension with her, that she's going to feel it even if you don't say the statements. If you're doing a really good job of it and you're sitting there looking at her and you're holding that eye contact, and let's say you're talking to a waitress and you look at her a little too long in the eyes and you smile at her and you say hi, and then you hold it a little too long and you give her that little bit of interesting feeling inside. Well, what would you recommend? And what's your favorite food? And you kind of hold that. She'll start to feel that intent, and you start to move it in that direction by stepping a little more into the tension, then eventually, asking questions. So, but you gotta get the energy of it first. You got to get the feeling of that turn on transmitting to her first, because if you just do the words, there's something interesting about you. What's your name? Or I like you and I just had to come over here and meet you, but you don't have the feeling, which I run into so many students that don't have it because they're neutering themselves or shutting it down because they're embarrassed. It's not going to have the same effect. Okay. So start to meditate on your turn on, start to welcome it, and start to feel it. Now, with that said, we want to dive into the Q&A this week. Let's see here. I've got it up right here. And we've got some questions for you. I think some of the ones I didn't complete from last week. And let's dive right on in. The first one is from someone named Burke, B-E-R-K. And I'm going to go ahead and just read the questions. We'll go from there. The most inspiring videos on your channel for me are the ones where you talk about these men who are not good looking or rich, but they're still they're still insanely confident when they go out. They know that women like them. I really want to feel like they do, but I can't figure it out. I feel the confidence must be based on some real things in life and not imagination in my head. Otherwise, I'd be delusional. I'm not good looking. Actually, one would not be blamed for thinking I'm downright ugly. I don't have much money to my name. I have a boring job. I don't have skills or experience with women. I don't have anything based to base this confidence on. So without being delusional, how can I be confident? How can I go out of the house and talk to women expecting them to like me? How did these guys that you talk about get to feel like this? So first off, confidence, first off, looks doesn't play into confidence at all. Attention skills do. We just talked about it in the last talk. And if you look at the talk I just did, you're going to see that attention skills are the most important thing when it comes to confidence. Okay. And then welcoming your turn on, so forth. And that's what these guys do. They go out, step into tension, play with tension, manage tension, and then they welcome their turn on, and they're good at it. But you don't master this. You don't need money or looks or anything to master this. It's just like lifting weights. You go out and you lift a little weight each day, Burke, and you get a little bit better. So maybe I say hi to 5 girls today, but if I'm walling off, it's not going to help me grow. But if I'm really open and honest, I say hi to 5 girls at a level I can manage. Maybe I'm just walking up to 5 girls and starting with the simple, asking a quick, simple question. What's the time? What's the directions? And then I'm building up. And we have a lot of videos on this within the channel. And if you're not sure what videos to watch, check with Mike. He can send you a link on these videos. But these videos are huge. And so I want to invite you into the idea that these videos will teach you how to build that tension skill set. And I recommend you go and do it, but it's going to take a practice. It's going to take you going out and doing stops and highs and all the skill sets we teach about that go into getting you comfortable with being social with tension. And I highly recommend you do that. If you can get into a Fearless Man Live, we can explain it better because I can look at who you are being in relation to the tension. I can look at who you're being in relation to emotion and your ability to emote emotion. Unfortunately, the one problem I run into a lot with guys is they go out to build their confidence, but then they wall off doing it. They build a walled off version, a fake version, and that's not that sexy. You still need to have emotional access. You still need to have an open heart in a sense, which is a sense of welcoming your heart open while you talk to women. It's a sense of relaxing and feeling your chest, feeling your stomach, feeling all your emotions, saying hi, and talking to them from that place. So, but the more you do it, the more confident you become. The more you do it, the more powerful you become. So you got to go out every day, and I would say at least 5 days a week, and that's what we teach in these other videos. At least 5 days a week, where you're doing a practice of stopping girls, talking to girls, getting to know girls, and it might start with a simple friendly intent, and then building your way up a little bit at a time. So I'm going to ask that Mike post something in this video with a link to one of those sets of skills, those training videos where we teach you how to do stops and how to do highs and so forth, and so that you can start to practice that. That comes up almost every time. Now, the guys I've met, that's how they've built it. They went out and they did things where they stepped into tension. Several of the guys I'm thinking of, they even lived in vans. They lived out of vans, and they just traveled the world, and they every day they go out and talk to women. They go out and they would go out and socialize, practice socializing, or they go out and do extreme sports where they practice tension, or they go out and you could even be an artist where you're practicing a sense of emotional tension, expression through your art, but they're putting themselves out there. They're getting seen more by more people. And then learning, that's a real key right there, is getting seen more by more people, and then learning to relax into being seen by more people. Whether that's talking to a girl, putting your art out there, whether that's being an athlete, it's welcoming people's opinions and judgment, and then learning to ground that out and not take it personal. And on the other side, when people praise you, learning not to let it go to your head and thinking you're the shit and getting so cocky that women lose interest that way too. A little cocky is okay, but too much cocky is not good at all. So again, Mike, make sure we put and Mike should be checking this out, or Cairo, make sure we put a link to the desensitization exercises so he can get started on that. And you can also use that confidence journal I talked about in the previous talk. And looks have nothing to do with it. It's how you're being when you're talking. And so a couple other things. I talked a little bit about holding eye contact a little too long. I talked about tension. Another thing is voice tone. Voice tonality is huge. And people that are insecure tend to raise their voice a lot. And they go, hi, how you doing? What's your name? Where are you from? People that are more confident tend to, hey, how you doing? What's your name? And they drop. They say, how are you doing? Where are you from? You look beautiful in that dress, and they really own their words by dropping their words typically at the end. That's still a feeling ultimately. People can force that, but it really comes across powerful when they feel it. And so who you're being in relation to tension is a whole nother story. So again, if I raise my voice at the end, those are typically unconsciously people do that when they can't handle tension well. So, hey, my name is Brian. How you doing? Where are you from? And there's a little nervousness that goes in with that. Versus, my name is Brian. How you doing? Where are you from? And that changes literally the way women feel about you. And see if you can hear the difference in those two. It's huge for you. So, Burke, I hope that helps. Let's move on to the next one. I appreciate your question, and thank you for the compliment, by the way. The next one is from somebody, MEK672. Is it healthy to state pump yourself into anger if you're stuck in depression? Or should the ideal method always be welcoming, disidentifying, and asking yourself to let go? Simple question, and honestly, I don't know if I've given this much thought. I'd have to almost play with it a bit. I would say that I'm not a big fan of state pumping. I'm more of a fan of welcoming, but the problem is that if you're really not, because you can use anger to climb out for sure. If you have access to anger and you can feel the anger literally, and you can welcome that anger, then you can use that anger to become proactive with the tension, step into it with the anger and get stuff done and make things happen. And that can be huge. And so I want to welcome you into that idea. Now, If you can't feel the anger at all and you want to bring it out of your system, I wouldn't say it would hurt as long as you could stay present with it. If you're going to go punch a punching bag for a little bit, take a martial arts class and really get in there. And if you can access that anger for real, not fake it, like maybe you start to have to punch the bag a little bit and kick the bag a little hard in the beginning to wake your body up. If you can access it, I think it can potentially be beneficial. But ultimately, I would still do a great round of releasing after you access the anger. I would sit down after you've got all that anger and all that emotion up, sit down and do some releasing. Don't lose control to the anger, because if you become reactive to the anger, then it's going to do damage and decrease your confidence. If you become proactive with the anger, then it's going to build you back up. So I want to encourage you to step into that anger proactively and to stay conscious and aware and not let it control you. As far as the state pump goes, you've got to be able to eventually hit and feel the real anger. And I don't want you to, and this is what I mean by the reactive. In a state pump, I picture yourself becoming so reactive to the anger that you're losing the sense of feeling in your body and you're just becoming reactive and racing. What I'm talking about is feeling all the way down into your legs, feeling down into your balls, becoming aware of what this energy is doing, staying proactive and conscious of it and not losing control. And some people can lose control, and that's what's really important, is that you start to become the observer of your emotions, that you feel them and observe them rather than losing control of them. Okay? So hopefully that helps. And thank you for your question. The next question, let me see here. Okay, that's the one I wanted to come back to a little later. Okay, this one is from the Island Writer. And he says, I got used to, mastered, and was born in a world of tension. Overcame all my tension, and here I am today, looking like a dragon slayer coming off as too cocky to some people. So how do you overcome all tension and obstacle and enjoy your new self to not come off as cocky to some women? And so let's talk about this. This is a really good question. I like it a lot because it's an interesting topic. When he wrote it, I had to think about it for a minute. And when you think about the emotions, there's two distinct emotions that handle tension well. One is pride. With pride, cockiness, arrogance, you can step into a lot of tension. But the next one beyond that is courage. With courage, you can step into even more tension more powerfully. And so when you're stuck in pride and you're overly cocky to the point where you're pushing people away, the next step would be to step into your courage and start learning. Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Those two little lights have been driving me nuts. They've been in my face. I'm sure they're driving you guys nuts. So when I do this next time, I can do this. Okay, let's make a little quick adjustment. Okay, that works better. That allows me to move more. So courage is win-win. And let's see if we can move this forward a little bit for the lighting. Yeah, there we go. So courage is win-win, and pride is typically win-lose, okay? So when you have a lot of pride in your nervous system, what I'd recommend is that you start welcoming more courage. So there's this idea that in pride that there has to be a winner and a loser. That's cockiness, that's arrogance. Yeah, I got this, I got you. I'm better than you, I'm better than that person, I'm cocky, I'm arrogant. And courage, it's, yeah, I can handle this and you can handle it too. If I can do this, you can do this. Come on, let's do it. It's like building everybody up. And it's still stepping into a lot of tension. It's still managing a lot of tension. It's still playing with the tension, but it's believing in everybody else around you. So I want you to welcome this sense of courage. And it's one step up from pride. Now, pride is very slippery. So you have to be willing to welcome that part of yourself that wants to feel like you're better than everybody else and release on that and acknowledge it and ask yourself to let that go, to be able to get to the part of yourself that feels powerful and feels everybody else can be powerful too, and you're welcoming everybody to be in that with you. That's a sense or a feeling, right? And so start to think of it that way, okay? It's really simple change, and
and it's more of a, in my opinion, it's more of a leader quality, where pride is more of a I got this, I'm better than everybody else quality. So start to think of yourself as that way. How can I welcome everybody else to the and it's so easy not to notice your pride. It's so easy to let it go by because it can work. It can get you certain results, but you're going to notice you step up one more notch from pride, that's going to get you even better results. You're going to look more powerful. Think about athletes. You'll see a lot of athletes that come from this pride energy. I'm better than you. I can beat you. But then think about athletes that are really courageous. When I think about it in business. Look at somebody like Richard Branson. He's really out there. He wants the whole world to win, win-win. How can we create a win-win? That's kind of his attitude. And when you look at somebody else that's out there that's kind of like cocky, and I'll let you decide who it is. But think about somebody else out there who's kind of cocky and is a win-lose, and is like, I'm going to win and you're going to lose. I'm going to beat you out kind of businessman. Then that's somebody who's more in the pride. And that's why so many people, I believe, love Richard Branson, is because he goes out and does all these amazing things. If you haven't read his book, Losing My Virginity, where he steps into a lot of tension, takes a lot of risk, but he really wants everybody to win. And I think that's a great example. So the next one we're going to take a look at. Thank you, by the way. That was a great question. His name is David, and David writes, I'm going to cut it off the screen a little bit here, so let me create a little more space. Okay, cool. The last 4 dates I've been on with 4 different women sucked really bad. Women seem to get bored and I can't seem to generate the attraction on a date. I know it's hard for you to give us specific tips without seeing how I'm being on these dates, but can you give some general tips and guidelines on how to go on successful dates and how to generate attraction on a date? This is a tough question to answer because I don't know what you're doing, and really that's David. That's what the whole intro to this video is about. Turn on is how to turn women on. So I think that if you go back and rewatch the beginning of this video, if you haven't seen it already, that should answer your question. But yeah, go back and watch the whole beginning of this video over again, and kind of take some notes on it. But being able to step into tension, be able to ground, being able to access turn on, being able to lead, being able to listen too. I haven't talked about that, where you're able to actually connect and be present with her and feel her emotions rather than think while she's talking. And sit there and actually take in her emotions. And when you speak back, to also not be thinking, but to be more feeling in relationship to what she's feeling. Like, I'm always sitting there with a woman and I'm feeling into her, especially when I'm on a date, and I'm feeling, where's she at? Is she present with me? Am I present with her? And it's really important to do that, because a lot of guys, they think and they go in their head while they're on a date and they're trying to think about the next thing to say or what to do. And that's way worse than if you're just present with her and let whatever come to you. That's really good to step into a little more tension when you notice there's some tension missing, or even more vulnerability where you tell a story about your life. And that's important too. So there's a lot of little aspects that go into being good on a date. But what I would start with is the beginning of this video. And if you're doing all of that and it's still not working, then it might be on the other side. It might be more on the connection side, but it doesn't sound like it based on what you said. Because on the connection side, she probably wouldn't be bored because you'd be creating a lot of tension, but you would be lacking the vulnerability. And so that doesn't sound like the problem you have. It sounds like more of what's going on in the beginning of this video. So check it out. And if you have trouble with that, let us know. If you can, make sure to get out to a Fearless Man Live. That's where I can really take a look at who you're being, and we can talk about your beingness in relationship, how you're being, how you're feeling, and we can really probably get a pretty good idea of what's going on. I can ask a bunch of questions, and I can talk to you. Those are only at $97 at least till the end of this month. So if you want to check out the Fearless Man Live in November in Los Angeles, it's on the 11th and 12th. and the early bird pricing is only $97, which is going to go up at the end of this month, then get out there. It's a hell of a deal for the price. You get to meet a lot of like-minded men. You get to meet some of the models and talk to them. You get to do a lot of the work and really step in, because we're going to do some of the work right there. We're going to keep it simple. And for a lot of you, that's all you need. You get out there, you see some of this stuff. We get to look at you. We get to give you feedback. We get to work with you. And the student coaches are there. And our other coaches are there. And you'll be shocked at how much you can change at an event like this. So I highly recommend you get out there, you check it out, and you'll learn, because I've seen guys change their whole life just from an event like that. Okay, Daniel? So that one's coming up November 11th and 12th. It's in Los Angeles. Early bird pricing, $97. Price is going up at the end of this month. Take action now. Click the link in this video and get started, because men that step into tension and take action are men that grow the fastest. That tension is going to start to grow. It's what starts to make the seed germinate and dig roots and grow. We need that tension, like being buried in the dirt. Well, we need that too. So the moment you buy this, you're in the tension already. I know it's a low cost, $97, but you have to get there. You have to show up, and that causes your life to change. Okay? So hopefully we can see you there, and if not, keep checking these videos out, because I'm going to keep bringing them. We've got a few more here. The next one is from Daniel, and Daniel says, I've been following the Fearless Man channel for the last 2 months, and I'm glad I did. It's changed me for the good. I love that. I love hearing that. I'm curious if you can tell your opinion or tips on, it's getting dark outside, so it's getting darker in here, guys. Sorry about that. I'll see if I can fix that next week and film this a little earlier. If you can tell me your opinion and tips on talking in front of on a public stage. I'd love to actually put a class on this, because I love speaking in public. Since you do this very often, I guess stepping into the tension and being relaxed in your body and plays a huge part. And is there anything else? Thanks. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of little skills that go into stepping in and being a good public speaker. Tension is one of them. Being able to step into tension and being relaxed in your body, relaxing, letting that tension flow through you. But the next one is another huge one, is emotional access. And this is true with women. So anything I'm going to say here, think about it with women too. Trying to stop a sneeze. But emotional access is huge. What I mean by this is, can I express from my emotion? Am I standing up there? Am I turned on for what I'm doing? And typically when I'm on stage teaching, I'm turned on for what I'm doing. I want you guys to get it. I'm excited. My body's alive. I feel on purpose, and it feels really good. The next piece that I think is very, very important is that you're feeling the audience. Can I feel their emotions? And I kind of look at the audience in sections. If there's a small enough crowd, I'm looking at individuals, and I'm kind of talking to sections of the audience where it's a little more asleep sometimes and waking it up. And I'm trying to get the emotion from more alive parts of the audience to spread across the audience. So I'm not just talking, I'm feeling everybody where they're at, and I'm adjusting what I'm saying based on what I'm feeling. If, for example, I'm feeling and the audience over here feels a little disconnected, then I might speak to that part of the audience and bring a little more tension to wake them up. I might tell a story that has a little more deep feeling in it to get people to get more emotional. And I'll adjust and I'll bring stuff at different times. And so this was a challenge for me on YouTube, because when I first got on YouTube, I couldn't feel people. So I had to learn to surrender and just start doing that on my own and start trusting that it would affect people. But in general, on a live audience, I'm always checking in with where the audience is at. And I'm always checking in with what I'm feeling. I never just pre-write a talk. I have basic bullet points I want to cover, but I never pre-write a talk and just stick to that pre-written talk. I go for it, and I step into it a little bit at a time. I use the bullet points, but then I kind of adjust. Let's just say this a little better, because that was kind of vague the way I said it, but I use the bullet points and I kind of adjust how I talk about them based on what I'm feeling from the audience. I pick out stories from my life or experiences or things I've seen that fit that bullet point. Sometimes I'll use the standard story that I might use with it, but other times I might switch depending on the reactions from the audience. I'm a little more fluid, because I know the key to get, and think about this, the key, and this is true with women too, to getting the audience to respond is getting them emotional, getting them feeling something, not logically thinking something, but feeling something. And so you got to be willing to play and adjust a little bit on the fly to do that. So hopefully that helps, Daniel. And that's true with women, man. You get out there and you start learning to feel emotions with women and get them to emote, and you start learning that takes stepping into some tension, and then think about it this way: when you step into that tension with a woman, if you relax a little bit and then a little bit more, inside the tension will be some emotion. Because the tension is the conduit. For those of you that can get this, the tension is the conduit. When I'm looking at you, there's a conduit of tension. And if I don't go in my head and I sit with that tension, it's like a channel from me to you. If I relax into that conduit, it's just like if I have a hose and there's water inside, the water represents the emotion and the flow of emotion between us. If I just stay with the tension, it's going to be a little probably too thick. But if I relax a little bit, I'll start to feel maybe your joy, your sadness, your curiosity, or I'll feel something from you. And I start to play and talk to that a little bit more. I think a lot of people do this unconsciously, but that's basically how it works. It's also the same as if you have like a wire, the wire representing the tension, the electricity representing the emotion. So when you connect with somebody and look at them, if you relax a little bit, you can start to feel that they have, whether you're reading their subcommunication or what, that's you start to feel their emotions a little bit. And we could talk about whether you're actually feeling real emotions, or you're just reading subcommunication, or you're just reading all kinds of little signals they're giving off. It doesn't matter. The point is that it happens. I've been doing it for years and I can feel it. Okay. So the next one is from Gabriel R. Hey man, I first want to quickly say thank you for posting all these videos. You're welcome, Gabriel. Learning a lot. The thing I'm struggling to do is to activate massive action. I just moved to a new city to get away from my old family and friends because I felt like I was too comfortable. This guy's stepping into tension. I like that. Kind of like burning the boats, haha, and that's true. But now I've moved here, I feel like I'm stuck and can't get over the incessant fear of going up to girls with sexual intent. I can't go up and be friendly, but can't get past friendship. I talked about it earlier in the video. Do you feel turn on? If you can walk up to them, do you feel your turn on while you're talking to them? And that's really the key. You're probably releasing too much tension. That's why you're friendly. Friendly guys release a lot of tension. There's a lot of tension released from their bodies while they're talking to women. And non-friendly guys typically do not. They sit in the tension a little more. So when they look at you, they hi. They might say something like hi. And they sit in the tension a little too long. When they shake the hand, they might hold the hand a little too long. When they make eye contact, they might look in a little deeper and narrow their gaze a bit, so it's a little more penetrating. So I should talk about some of these little things that that are all part of playing with attention. When they speak, they might speak a little slower and slow down and say, what are you out doing tonight? Or where are you going? Or, and when they give a compliment, they may be like, I love that dress on you. It looks amazing. They might look her up and down briefly. Little things like that make a huge difference as a man, and as the way you're talking to her. Friendly guys are like, oh, I like your dress, it's really nice. Hi, and they don't allow the pause to be there. They don't allow the tension to build. They also don't allow her to see their turn on. So meditate on the turn on, like I talked about earlier in the video. Slow down, feel your turn on, relax into it, and start to open at the second chakra, the Danti and the Hara down there in the hip region of the body. And start to see if you can experience a little warmth. Let it pull you down in your body while you're talking to her. Let yourself become more aware of your legs also, and then that turn on area while you're talking to her, so she can feel your rudeness. Now, don't lose connection to your heart. I literally feel up and down the body while I'm talking to a woman. Less in my head and more up and down the body, flowing, connecting, and having a good conversation. So this is really powerful, Gabriel. So make sure that you pay attention to these things. And I really want to thank you for the question, because sometimes, I talk a lot about tension, and I think it would be good to do a video on where we do examples of, and we've done it before, but I think it would be good to do it again. We do examples on different little aspects of tension, vulnerability, emotion, penetrating energy, where I'm actually demonstrating prolonged eye contact. I'm demonstrating shaking the hand a little too long, or I'm demonstrating being in my turn on when I'm talking to a girl. We'll bring a model in while we do that. And I think that would be great. So So thank you, Gabriel. I want you to go ahead and apply that stuff. If you can get into an event, again, the Fearless Man Live is coming up in November 11th and 12th. It's still only $97, guys. It's a deal. If you haven't signed up, sign up now. I'd like to make this, like the goal to make this the biggest Fearless Man Live we've ever had. We want to get those up there. And if you guys, get out there, it gives me a chance to really talk to you directly and see what you need and really help you get to the next level, because I can best give you what you need by meeting you in person. And anybody that's taken the Fearless Man Live will tell you it's a hell of a value for what you get. We bring out the models, we do demos on stage, we invite students up to be part of the demos. You get to connect with the group. We have coaches that take you guys out in the evening a little bit and just kind of walk around and teach you some basic skills around developing more confidence through some of the stuff we talk about in the videos. So if you're willing to get out there and you're willing to take a step into a little tension by buying the ticket and showing up in LA, then that could be the beginning of a whole new life for you. 1% change can be huge over time, compounded. Inside of a year, you can change your life radically if you do one thing, 1% different for that next year. So I want to welcome you into stepping into that tension. Step into it now, take action, make things happen. So I want to thank you for being here tonight. It's been awesome working with you guys. There should have been somebody live on the call answering your questions, even though I'm here out in Romania, some of our guys in LA, helping to get the links in there that you need and so forth. And the team works really hard to bring you this stuff. So I want to acknowledge the whole team. Cairo, Mike, are both out there working hard to get these videos going. And the other coaches too. Cairo and Mike are really behind the scenes on these videos, working hard. So with that said, I want to ask that you guys subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and to make sure you get these videos. Make sure you comment. I want to hear your comments, because we get a lot of our questions from the comments, and we'd like to answer as many comments as we can. We love the engagement. And make sure you go out to the Fearless Man Live, and we'll see you at the next event. With that said, remember, only the confident really live. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.